I applied to a lot of jobs. One actually got back to me, but it was a rejection. Worse than a heartbreak, apparently. So getting your first dev job usually is the hardest, right? Because you have zero credibility, right? Zero experience, zero credibility when in the terms of they asking you what you've done in the past. I started posting, people started to notice me. I kept doing that until I blew up to 10,000 followers, And this happened really quickly. From March when I started, by June or July, I had 10,000 followers. I've got countless messages people telling me that, I got into tech, I was inspired by you. Sounds like I used to be a civil engineer, but I joined your space and you spoke about tech, and now I just want to get into it. Do you have a roadmap? Whenever I have someone come to me telling me they want me to sort of mentor them or show them the best path to becoming a developer, the first thing I tell them to do is that I tell them that think about something you want to build. Being a developer means that you want to solve problems.
My name is Esther Adebayo, and on my tech journey with Esther, I sit down with tech folks to talk about how they've been able to handle rejections, overcome obstacles in their careers, and really cut through the hype. From coding mistakes to battling rejections to balancing work life and even doing phenomenal things, my guests will share everything raw and real on my tech journey with Esther. New episodes drop every week, so you don't want to miss out. Hi, Favor. Welcome to my Tech Journey with Esther podcast. It's good to have you today. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you, Esther. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show. How's your week been so far? Any highlights of the week? What did you do this week?
So it's been quite the week actually. Over at my workplace, we are working towards launching, getting started with our TGE. So we recently launched a new, we call it our points dashboard. So I've just been busy trying to make a video on it, regular DevRel stuff. Making an announcement video and stuff.
Can you imagine? But that's good. My week has been great too. Yesterday I had a live stream and, thinking about content for next year as well, and just trying to plan the entire content calendar and activities for my company. But it's been a great week. I've enjoyed it. Gradually wrapping up and looking forward to the new year, right?
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Do you always plan, when you plan your content, how long do you usually, 3 months, 4 months? I really find it difficult.
I don't do 3 months, 4 months. For me, I just try to do a month or 2 max to just know. I don't try to go so far because for me, it's not really realistic, right? Because
exactly.
You don't know there may just be a change of direction and you need to just be that flexible. So I just try to do a month or 2, 6 weeks at best, and we go from there.
Oh, wonderful. Nice. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you on the show. Before we dive into, the whole talk and the gist, let me quickly read your bio for those of you that are not familiar with Favor Onuoha. So I'm going to read his bio. Favor Onuoha currently works as the lead DevRel at Swing Finance, a digital asset liquidity aggregator helping Web3 teams get access to liquidity. He's also a full stack developer, a technical writer, and a content creator with over 60,000 followers across social networks. So it's good to have you, Favor. That's a huge number and following. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Before we get into the whole conversation, I always play a game with my guests. I don't know if you're aware, but I always play a game with my guests to set a great pace for our conversation. So for this game, I've never played this game before. This game was customized for you.
Really? Oh my god.
This particular one is very chill, but we're going to be playing a game of web dev acronyms and their full meaning. So I'll just give you the acronym and you give the full meaning. It's not a test, don't worry. It's just for fun.
Oh, don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
go.
The first one is, there are about 7. So the first one is dry, D-R-Y. D-R-Y, dry.
D-R-Y. You said that's a web dev word?
Acronyms.
Dry. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, keep your code dry. When you say keep your code dry.
I'm not exactly sure. It sounds like a methodology, but I don't think I remember. I've heard it somewhere
Okay.
definitely.
Okay. Don't repeat yourself.
Don't repeat yourself. Doesn't strike a bell.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Quad.
No.
Okay.
It looks like I'm gonna fail this woefully then. Okay,
Maybe
keep it
I'm not
coming. Hopefully I
pronouncing it
get
well.
some.
Quad. Create, read, update, delete.
Oh,
Quad.
I thought you said
Quad.
quad. I thought you said
No,
quad.
no,
Like,
no. Okay, I'm
yeah.
gonna spell it out. CRUD.
Okay.
Quad.
All right. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Create, read, update, delete. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Wheezy wig.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Okay, we'll pass on that. SQL.
Ah, yeah. Structured query language. Yeah.
Awesome. HTML.
Hypertext markup language.
CSS.
Cascading style sheet.
Awesome. And the final one, HTTP.
Hypertext transfer protocol.
Awesome. So you're an A student.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think you didn't get just the first one. The second one was just because I wasn't clear. It was quad, and you got
Yeah.
it. So yeah, so that was fun. That was good. So let's dive into the conversation. Let's talk about your first job. I know getting the first developer job is usually the hardest. I've heard people say, like, because no one has hired you, so it's usually the hardest part of getting started as a developer. So let's talk about your first job. How long did you spend searching for the job, and do you remember the process to getting that first developer job?
So yeah, so getting your first dev job usually is the hardest, right? Because you have zero credibility, right? Like, I mean, zero experience, zero credibility when in the terms of they asking you, what you've done in the past. I mean, you can say you can do it, but you haven't really shown working that you can do it. You get it? Usually
Yeah.
that's just the hardest, right? The fact you have no experience. So yeah, it's usually when what I usually tell people is that you can actually learn, do all the amazing stuff you want to do, but until you've actually crossed that hurdle, right? Of that, you've crossed the hurdle of finding your first job, things might feel salty unto them, but after you've gotten your first job, then everything just starts to pick up from there. So for me, I think I started learning how to code when I was like 12. Then I got my first job at the age of 19. So that's like
That's
7 years.
interesting. Yeah.
I think that's like 7 years in between that, right? And it's not like I didn't try looking for a job earlier. Unfortunately for me, I started looking for a job in a time where, and in a country where, if you were anything less than 18 years old or maybe 17 years old, no one would take you serious, right? So I did search around, but the age, I started right after I completed high school, right? Looking for like a dev job, something I could, do. And on the dev side, everyone wanted a degree, you get it. And wow, I just came out of high school. And I mean, I had a lot of amazing projects, but no one would really take it serious. So at least that was my scenario, you get it. So right after I crossed 18, I did intensified search, right? But it's finally happened when I turned 19. That was somewhere in 2018. Then I finally got my first job. So I was fortunate enough to have someone who sort of guided me, when I started coding, I was basically doing everything. There's this thing I say, I was like a samurai without a master, right? I was doing everything. Anything you throw at me, I'll do it. I had this book where I would put all the list of programming languages I had to learn, because I felt
Really?
that I mean, one day I'm gonna post it on Twitter so everyone can see it. The reason why I don't want to post it because it's not like I lit 2 pages. A lot of those languages are still there. Some of them are not in existence, like Flash and Action. I believe it's Action JS or something. which
Never
was
heard
like the
of it.
first.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that was like the first. It was for Flash programming, I believe. So if you that was actually the first strongly typed JS superset, I believe. Then came CoffeeScript. I learned CoffeeScript for no apparent reason. Then I learned ActionJS. I believe that's what it's called, ActionJS. I was like, why not? you know. So at that point, I was just learning everything because I felt that the more programming languages you knew,
The
higher your chance.
right?
Exactly, the higher chance of being hired. So my grand strategy was that I take all of this knowledge to the employer and show them that this is what I know, right? So there have to be something you can give me, right? But that didn't pan out right. Fortunately for me, I met someone who was into game development. At the time I was more serious on 3D designs and game development. UI UX had just come out, so I was actually investing my time into it because I was doing 3D designs as well. So it's like at a point I was torn between being a designer or being a dev. You get it, but I chose to be a dev, continue with game development. So when I met this particular person, he was actually my neighbor. So I'd moved into a new apartment, and then so I met him. So this guy actually introduced me to the concept of remote work, which was like I was kind of crazy to me. I'm like, you're here living in Ghana, you're working in Ghana, getting paid in dollars. I was like, that's crazy. So I sort of took this guy's whatever he said was law, So he told me that, favor Charlie, if you really want to make it in this field, just stop every other thing you're doing. So he told me to stop the game development. Then I was doing that with C#. He told me to stop I was really invested in building real-time applications in Java too. He told me to stop all of those stuff. He was like, those stuff are not really going to help you. He told me to stop all the 3D, the designs, and focus on just learning React and Node.js. So at the time, so this like 7 years back, right? So at the time, so actually 7 years back. So at the time, JavaScript, Node.js, and React.js was like everywhere. So I'd heard about them, but I wasn't really interested in learning them because I felt that almost everybody in the field was a web developer. I didn't want to be a web developer. You get it? I wanted to be more or less like a systems person. I wanted to work on like low-level applications. That's applications that can be run on a computer's kernel, an operating system's kernel. Building drivers. That's what I was personally
interested in. Okay.
Exactly, but that's not what brings the cash over here. So yeah, so I had to
literally have to follow the money, right?
Yeah, you have to follow the money. Like it's like take your brain with you, leave your dreams behind. So so that was just basically it. So I learned Node.js, I learned React.js, I built like 2 or 3 solid applications. Then I felt confident enough, I started applying. I applied to a lot of jobs. I got one actually got back to me, but it was a rejection, worse than a heartbreak apparently. Then but then there was another one which I went with, but that one actually came true. So there was a first interview and a second interview. So at the first interview, I sort of made my skills known. The second one was more or less like a technical interview, which I went for and I passed. So the second was actually at the company. So with that, I started as a junior front-end developer.
Junior front-end developer, wow. That was how long ago? You say 7 years ago?
So that was I believe it's like 6. That was in 2018.
Okay, 2018. Awesome. So there are a lot of questions I have from this your experience that you've shared. The first one is you said you started coding at 12. So I was just curious, like, what exposed you to coding? Did you have anyone in your family at the time writing code, or was it just maybe something you watched? Or how exactly did you pick up coding at 12? Because I know some people start coding quite young, but it's also not too common to see people coding when they're just like entering their teenage years. So what was it for you?
So for me, I had this ever since I was little. I grew up watching. Well, I mean, I did watch a lot of cartoons, but I was more interested in Discovery World, Nat Geo. You see those kind of stuff. Like those are the
Really?
kind of stuff growing up I really loved watching. So it's like we had a decoder. I don't know if it was DSTV or something else. You know, so whenever I got home from school, I was always watching those kind of stuff. So that was where I sort of got this idea of like, you know, when I grew up, I want to be a computer scientist. At the time, I didn't even know if computer scientist was a real thing, you know. So this is me like 8 years old, right? So I started. Then there was this cartoon I watched. I believe it's called Robot Boy, right? So that was where I think that's where I first heard about programming, and I was like, you know what, I want to build a robot. So my test to become a developer actually started from me wanting to build a robot because I was like, I just want to build a robot. Like I kept research, you know, trying to find out how I can do that. So when I was like 8 years old, 9 years old, I got in contact with the internet, right? So ever since I got in contact with the internet, the moment I found out, I think that was with Yahoo search.
Yeah.
The moment I found out I could basically search for stuff and find information, that was it. I just started searching, right? So at the time, I think when I got to 9 years old, I came in contact with Java, but there was nothing I could do. I didn't know how to learn it, right? So I kept researching. It wasn't until I turned 12, 12, that I think God being so good as well, where we were living at the time in Port Harcourt, back in Nigeria, we had a neighbor move in, and now this neighbor that moved in, you know, I was sort of like just curious, right? So whilst they were still moving in and stuff, I saw one of them, a lady. So she was just on the floor with her laptop. It wasn't really a laptop. So she had one laptop, and she had this, if you remember, there was this old devices that looked like a laptop. You could put a disc in it, and then you could sort of play a video. So it was sort of like a video player, but it looks like a laptop.
VCD.
Like a VCD, yeah. So she was so I was curious. I just sat down next to her watching what she was doing, and I was listening to the video. It was a Nigerian guy teaching how to make websites with something called Joomla. So I don't know if you've heard about Joomla.
Yeah, Joomla.
Yeah,
that was that year.
Yeah, so it was like Joomla 1.2 or something, and I was like,
Wow.
So the moment I realized that this was her making a website, like I don't know.
You
It's
were
like,
like, this is what I've been looking for.
I'm like, oh my god, this is what I've been looking for. Like at that moment, it's like I felt like my brain stopped. Like I just begged her, like, please, can I have the disc? So she said I should just wait for her to finish watching that particular episode. Now, what I did was that the moment I took that disc, I just bent it. I said burning, like you can copy out the content out of the disc. So I took the disc. There was this software, Power ISO or something. I copied the content from that disk and bent it into another disk, and I took that disk along with me to Ghana, right? Yeah, so that was basically how it all started. So whilst I was using Joomla, I think at a point I had to do some custom coding to modify the template or something, and that's where I got in contact with PHP. So I started learning PHP, and then I realized I need to learn HTML, and that was just where it started from. So I started learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and at the point I wasn't interested in Joomla anymore. So I was like, I found my path.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so interesting. I mean, what if you didn't come across her? Not like you wouldn't have become a dev, but I think it just helped that whole transitioning and sparking up your curiosity. It just helped it to be a lot faster because you just found someone that had what you had been searching for, and you just took advantage of that opportunity. I think for you, you've always been curious, right? From when you were young, like from the cartoons, just getting curious. And I know curiosity is one of the things that help to make a very great developer, because when you're curious enough, you're interested in knowing, okay, this technology, learning more about it, and you just keep going from there. So I love the fact that you were very curious and it led you into your first experience using Joomla, and then the rest is history. But I think when you were
Exactly.
talking, I was just thinking a lot of people coming into development, they want to be developers, but they're a bit unsure about what to specialize in. And in your case, I would say you dabbled into different technologies before then specializing in one, and now you're even in Web3. You're still coming to that. But
Yeah.
what would you say from your experience is better? Do you think from the get go you should just focus and niche down on one area, on one part, or do you think it's advisable to explore different things before focusing? What's your take on that?
So I usually tell people just explore different things, right? So whenever I have someone come to me telling me they want me to sort of mentor them or show them the best path to becoming a developer, the first thing I tell them to do is that I tell them that think about something you want to build, right? So being a developer means that you want to solve problems, right? So I tell them to, if you want to be a developer, probably there's something you have in mind that you want to build. If you don't really have something in mind that you want to build, if you don't really have a problem that you want to solve, then chances are you are just going to be wandering around the wilderness with no compass on. You get it? So
Yeah.
usually what I would say is that they should just sort of know what you want to build. Even if you don't know what you want to build, just look around. Think about a problem that has been solved. I usually give references to take Microsoft, for instance, with their office tools and stuff. Back in the days, everything was on paper, but they built softwares to sort of help, for documentation, Microsoft
Yeah.
Word, Excel, like PowerPoint,
Yeah.
so they solved the problem. So think about something that you want to solve, right? So I try to make them understand that that really is all it is, being a developer, trying to solve a problem. Now, once you found a problem you want to solve, once you found something that you want to build, the next thing I usually tell them is that just go do some research, right? And then know what you'd have to do, what you have to build, what you have to know to build out that idea you have. And if it's something web related, definitely probably that path is going to be on web. Almost everything is on web, but not everything could be, how will I put it, not everything could be applied to the web. Like there are certain in certain fields like agriculture, building, for those who are more into like stuff like Arduino or something, this Arduino
Yeah,
boards,
doing
and
your own boards,
you,
yeah.
exactly, you could build up a board, with a sensor that detects when, I don't know, coyotes or something gets into the farm or something. I don't know if you get me. So
Yeah, like
yeah,
not
so just
everything is restricted to web dev, even though it's a
exactly.
huge part. There are still other things outside of web dev.
Exactly. If it's a game you want to build, right? It's even though you can build games on the web, but like it's not restricted to the web. You get it. So once I give them these two tests, they come back. Whatever they feel is what they need to learn to be able to build that out. That's usually what I tell them to niche into. So if it is web dev, niche into web dev, because you thought about it, you thought about what you wanted to build coming into this field, and you determined that those are the stacks, that's the tools you need to actually build out that idea you have to solve that problem that you have. So I tell them that that's what you should be focusing on, because I've met really great developers who are probably like in mobile, for instance, know nothing about web development. Like, I mean, they could, right? But like, you don't hear them talking about JavaScript. They know nothing about JavaScript. Like, for me, it always felt like an anachronism, but it's actually real.
Yeah, it's
You get it?
possible.
It's possible.
How many resumes have you sent out with zero response? Or maybe you're getting interviews but you just can't seem to land a job. I've been there and I know it's so frustrating, right? But the good news, I've created a toolkit to change all of that for you. Introducing the Get a Job Toolkit, your step-by-step guide to finally land your dream tech job. Inside, you get 3 resume and cover letter templates, a job tracking sheet, 100 plus interview power phrases, reach out messages to recruiters, and a LinkedIn optimization checklist. I created this toolkit because I know how hard applying to jobs can be. So whether you're just starting out your career or making a career switch to tech, This will save you so much time and stress. Click the link below to grab your toolkit and let's get you hired.
Right. I have a friend. He's really good. One of the best devs I know. Right. But he's not really on the web. Like, he's not really a web dev. Someone might think, oh, it's not. You don't do anything web dev related. So he's just onto mobile, right? And everything from every programming every programming logic applies there as well. You can ask him a problem in a different language, and he'll give you tips on how to solve it. So basically, just niche down into something that is somehow related to what you want to be building, the problem you want to be solving, and just apply every other programming concept to it. It's gonna work.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. I think a lot of times when people are looking to come into tech, not just web dev space, into tech, I think the first thing they need to do is to just search within themselves and also do some research and be sure about what you're interested in. I like the fact that you tell them to research and explore a bit, because you can't really answer for people. Like, everyone has their individual lives. You can't say this is what you should be learning. You can say this is what has worked for me, but like, people have differing interests. So it's important that before you come into tech, whatever field, tech is very broad. There are so many industries. When you were mentioning you have a friend that is in mobile, I think I'm the opposite. I'm so into web dev that I do not know what's going on the mobile. Aside the languages and everything, React Native, Flutter, I don't know. I tried to learn React Native, so I probably still have one or two ideas, but it's not something that I would say I default to naturally. So it's important that you do a lot of research and you're also true to yourself. Like, what exactly is the problem that you're interested in solving? Because there are many problems. It's just the one that interests you, the one that sparks you, and you then go from there. So I like what you said about that. And now you're the lead dev at Swing Finance. So I'm interested in hearing how you built your career, because earlier you mentioned that you started as a front-end developer. That was your first job, and somehow you've navigated your career and you're now the lead DevRel at a Web3 company. So how exactly was the whole journey from front-end development to becoming a lead DevRel at a Web3 company?
Yeah, so I think with every other phenomenal success story, it all has to do with COVID in a way.
Really?
COVID was that point where people who were doing something totally unrelated to whatever it is they're doing today had that time to sort of switch careers, think about their life, reflect. Everyone was, well, quote unquote, locked up with the internet. So a lot of people actually built very solid careers during that time. And for me, it was sort of like the distraction. I don't want to say it that way, but that was sort of like the distraction. I needed to sort of
you didn't know
reflect.
You needed.
I didn't know I needed. Exactly. That was sort of like such. I didn't know I needed to sort of reflect on my life, and just carve out like a different career path. I didn't really know that things were going to turn out that way. So during COVID on Twitter, I wasn't really active on Twitter, but it looked like with everything that was going on, everything was happening on Twitter, right? And because everyone was now at home, apps like TikTok, Twitter, Facebook were just blowing up left, buzzing, sure. Yeah. Like, you would be watching the news and they'll literally be reading a tweet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was how crazy.
I remember.
Yeah, that was how crazy that era was, right? So I just got back into Twitter. I've actually been on Twitter since I think 2014, right? But I wasn't using it. There are times when whenever I got like a new phone, I'll just install Twitter and I'll open it, and that would be it until I get another phone. You get it? So, but it all started on Twitter, So I got back on Twitter, watching what everyone was doing. So even before COVID, I was part of this Andela learning community, right? So they were making a lot of posts on Twitter. I think that's what actually got me to re-download Twitter. That was in 2019, right? So now I had Twitter. There was this one post someone shared in one of the communities, right? And that led me to a guy named Danny Thompson, right?
Okay,
So
Danny Thompson, yeah, I know him.
yeah, so I read about his story, and then from Friday, I think he was always posting a lot of really cool, like, helpful guides and stuff. How to get into web development, how to get into tech, sort of, right? So I sort of found the stuff he was posting really intriguing, and then what happened was that's where I started to get okay, what, I have a lot of experience, why don't I also share my knowledge as well, right? But I didn't really start doing it until 2020. So 2020 was when I was all on Twitter, so I just took that time to sort of like learn, you get me? So I was just learning. I followed a bunch of people. I started, just watching how they were sharing content, trying to sort of and visualize how I myself would one day be like a content creator, what I would have to do, the kind of content I want to talk about. So, but I always wanted to start, but like, I don't know whether it was imposter syndrome or was this when you keep postponing something? Procrastination, yeah. I didn't know if it was one of that, but like I didn't really start until like March 2021. By that time I had already sort of like gotten my niche, or I thought about what I was going to be talking about, and then I just started one day. I just got up and just started posting. I started posting, people started to notice me. I kept posting about, at first I was posting about growth, how you can grow as a developer, how you can also grow your own personal brand, even though I was growing mine at the time. But I was basically just posting the stuff I'd learned from like other people who I was
learning
following.
And doing at the same time.
Exactly. So I was learning and just doing it at the same time. And, I started to get noticed, so at the time, so I kept doing that until I blew up to like, I think 10,000 followers, and this happened really quickly. Like from March when I started, by June or July, I had like 10,000 followers, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So that was when I got into Twitter Spaces. I started, sharing content. Some brands would reach out to me, and they want to partner with me to talk about their brands, and it was all so new to me. I didn't even know what I was. I was like, oh, fine. At a point, one of them wanted to pay me. I was like, pay me?
Really? For what
like,
I'm doing?
Pay for what I'm doing? Like, I'm just doing this for free. Pay me. So, and I was like, I think that was my first time with that kind of offer. It was actually coming from another friend who was also a content creator. I was like, it's nothing. I'll just join and talk. Not knowing all this stuff I was doing, building a community, advocating for products, that was actually in the realms of developer relations.
Oh, yeah.
You get it? So I was basically building experience and not even knowing that I was building experience.
True.
Right? So a year later, 2022, crypto starts to blow up, right? So I had this friend who we both started as content creators together. Right now, I believe he's head of DevRel at a Web3 company called Cyphrin. Yeah. So he hits me up and it's like, yo, Fav, I'm talking about Web3 now, I'm getting to Web3. And I also, because I basically just take his lead on whatever that happens. I'm like, you know what, Vito, let's do it. So I start talking about Web3 as well. He started talking about Web3. My bro goes on to join Alchemy, as a DevRel. And that was where, it was just so clear to me that this was actually a career path, one I would like to try, So I start searching for a DevRel job, like not by saying it out there that I'm looking for a DevRel job, but like just doing what I was doing, and just hopefully a company would take notice, right? Mm-hmm. So, and the first company that actually took notice of me was Showcase, right? So at first I got in as a Showcase. Yeah. So I was basically the face of the entire Twitter profile, posting content and stuff. But that was actually my first DevRel gig. It wasn't in Web3. They were, even though they did plan to have like some Web3 features in the future. But that was actually my first shot at DevRel, because I came in as a community manager, then not as a community builder, then to a community manager, to a developer advocate, to head of DevRel, right? So that was sort of how I progressed in the company. All during that time, I was still into Web3, right? Even though I was a DevRel over there, I was still taking on some Web3 related gigs, talking about Web3, writing about Web3. So I became a technical writer in Web3. Writing, I think I wrote for 3 different orgs. Before joining Showcase as a DevRel, I worked as a content marketer at Alchemy, which is another leading Web3 firm, right? Yes. At the same time, I also I co-launched an NFT project with a friend, which actually hit #1 on OpenSea for a while, I believe 2 weeks. Wow. Yeah. I got a chance to then work with Chris Brown on his second NFT project, right, called the Oracles, right? So I was the contract dev on that project.
I say you so homely.
I don't know any other way to say it.
Like, yeah. Oh, I got an opportunity to do one.
Oh yeah, I think one of the highlights amazing. Thanks. I think one of the highlights of 2022 for me, I believe it was 2022 or 2023, I can't quite remember, right? So, but somewhere in between those years, yeah, that happened. And then right after that, so right after Showcase, I set my eyes on, this time actual Web3 developer advocacy, because now, have experience here, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was how I ended up at Swing Finance, right? So they're digital asset liquidity routing service. So they provide APIs for other Web3 companies to just plug in and get access to millions, if not probably billions of dollars in liquidity for their apps, right? So so that's how I ended up there.
That's an amazing story. It's funny that people don't realize that you can be a huge inspiration to other people just based on what you do. Like for you, I know that when you started getting active on Twitter, I started seeing the likes of Danny Thompson and other people, and that was what just sparked you, like, okay, I think I like what he's doing, I can also start sharing. And a lot of times I think people always feel like you have to attain before you start teaching or sharing what you know, and you don't necessarily need to. For example, in your case, you were learning and doing at the same time. So okay, you see this, you observe, okay, I think I like how he sounds, or I like the things he talked about. Okay, tomorrow or next week I'm going to talk about this on my own page, and that's how you just organically grow your Twitter. So how was it like for you? You said from March to June you went to 10k followers. When you hit that 10k, how are you feeling?
I think I was feeling on top of the world, because it felt like a very difficult feat, honestly. Well, I'm actually really grateful to certain people I met during that time. So there was this guy from Germany. So I think I made a tweet. I just thank God I met that guy, honestly, because I remember I made a tweet talking about what you can do to grow your following. At the time I had 200 followers, right? And I made a tweet on what you could do to actually grow your following. Even I'm basically just saying stuff that I feel will work and work for me. And this guy actually replies me, right? So we actually exchanged phone numbers. We started talking. We became really good friends. I think right now he's working in the States. He's a head of community at a US based startup right now. So he actually quit school. I think high school, or I think uni, just to go and just to become a community manager, a growth manager. Yeah, that's why he's a growth manager.
Okay, growth manager.
So when we were starting out, he sort of would come to me and just, he would give me a lot of, oh, he saw this, let's try it. He saw this, let's try it. And, and through him, I was able to connect with a few other people. We were just doing stuff together on social media, and we started to attract the eyes of some really big accounts. So they saw what we were doing, and they were like, one guy, Jack Forge, he sort of gave us a shout out
on Twitter.
Yeah, so he sort of gave us a shout out, and it was like, these two guys are doing some crazy stuff on tech Twitter over here. And just that one shout out got me like 3,000 followers.
And just started following.
And that was it.
You wake up and you're like, what's going on?
What's going on?
Yeah,
like,
I know that feeling.
So, yeah, so that happened like in April and May thereabouts. And by June, I think by August, I had grown to like 10K, 20K. I remember there was a point in just 3 months, I gained over 30,000 followers. So that would have been getting towards the, So if you see my profile right now, I have like 59,000.
You have like 50, almost 60K, right?
Almost 60K now. I've been at, I've only, I think in the past a year and a half, I've only gained like, and in the past year, I've only gained like maybe 15,000 followers, or maybe
compared to the other time,
compared
right?
to that time, right? Yeah. So, but I mean, follower count isn't. I mean, though it sort of helps you, it makes you feel much more credible. I feel like it's all about the value you have to offer, because
the value.
I decided to switch from talking about. I used to talk about very serious like topics, right? But then I realized that I was just tired of being serious, So if you look at my tweets these days, there's almost nothing serious going on. But once in a while, so my idea was that if they take me too serious, when I post something that's not serious, no one take me serious. So be on serious, so that when I post something serious, they'll appreciate me more, right? So so that's just how it's like on that front.
Yeah, I noticed you do lots of giveaways also on your page. How's that been like for you, and like what made you start doing giveaways on Twitter?
So I think I was inspired by another friend of mine. So I believe it's Idris, either Idris or just someone else. So I think John Ademoye. Yeah, one of them, I can't remember. But what am I even saying? These two people I mentioned, we all got together to do a giveaway. So yes, both of them.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was there one day, and John hit me up that we've been in the space. Back then we're doing a lot of Twitter spaces, right? Every week we had something to talk about,
Yeah, I think I remember when Twitter Spaces was like the thing on Twitter.
Exactly. So we really wanted to help. So there was this one case where there was someone who really needed a laptop, right? Laptop repairs, actually. The person's battery was spoiled. And then John actually did what John, I don't know what he did was that he just put together a few friends. He contacted me. I think he also contacted Idris as well, So I was like, this person needs help. Why don't we just post it? So he made a post, right? And a lot of people donated. I think the person even got more than what the person needed. Yeah, so when I saw that, I was like, it was really cool. So he was like, why don't we just do this as something, help a lot of people. So we started this newbie in tech, #newbie laptop giveaway for developers. I can't remember the exact hashtag, but we ended up giving away, I believe, more than 5 laptops. We raised a lot of money for devs who needed data. We raised a lot of money for devs who needed repairs for their laptops. Right? So we did all of that. We held spaces. A lot of people participated. People got, people started their journey, right, with their careers with like a laptop, and like that was really, it felt really, like you could be part of someone's success story one day, right? And so ever since then, I started with giving away Udemy courses, right? So I gave away a few Udemy courses to people who really needed it, but then I think someone said that, the courses are cool, but we need data to watch it.
Fact.
Yeah. So ever since then, I think it's been more than a year now. I've been doing data giveaways. So from time to time in the evening, when I'm mostly very active at that time, 9, 10, I just ask, who's awake, who needs some data, who is learning.
Yeah, I've seen the
Usually,
who's awake
I see.
tweets.
Yeah. So then I will see people posting what they're working on. So before I start doing whatever it is I'm doing, I just go through to see who's really. Yeah, so I go through their profiles. I'm like, okay, if you are watching a Udemy course, you are learning. So I just ask them, DM me your number, So I usually do from, I can't quite remember. When I started at first, I was only giving to a few people. So, but I would make sure at least it's something enough for you at least for a week, maybe 10K, 15K. I'm in Ghana, so I'm not exactly sure the power of the currency back in Nigeria because most people who participate are Nigerians.
Okay.
Exactly. Right. But I mean, there have been some Ghanaians, there have been some Indians as well. So,
really?
Yes. Oh, yes. So there's an app you can use to send credit to people all over the world, even in the UAE.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Some EVD app, as it's called. So yeah, I use that and just bless someone in the evening, let them use that to learn. Then pray God blesses them and you.
Yeah, it's really incredible the work you're doing in the community because you're doing so much, and just the giveaways like the credits or the courses, you don't know how long it goes to sow a seed in the life of that person and start their career. Just imagine how you started yours wasn't even a giveaway, or maybe I can say a giveaway in form of a CD or a Joomla course, and that was how you just spark your interest. So you're doing really amazing for the community, so well done. I'm curious to know though, has there been any unexpected experience that you faced? Maybe something weird happened with all the giveaways or online because you have lots of followership. Have you faced any weird or an unexpected experience?
I believe there was one, but honestly I don't think I remember the details. I honestly I can't quite remember. There was this one. It wasn't just me got it affected, right? So I think back when John and I were doing the giveaways, there was this one troublesome scenario. I can't quite remember, but since I've been doing my personal giveaways, the only other issue I've had was probably I sent someone a DM, the person didn't get back to me, and then a week later or 2 weeks later, I see the message, and I just have to apologize to the person for not seeing it quick enough. But apart from that, no unexpected. No.
That's cool. That's cool. At least people are still, to a large extent, sane and good people. So
I think the only one good thing is but not something crazy or bad. Like I have actually received messages from people you gave me this Udemy course, thank you so much, something I've been trying to learn for a really long time. I finally have resources. Some people have sent me their certificates, they took like an online course, they got the certificate, they sent it to me, and I mean I get a lot of that, but I don't post it, right? I don't. So it just keeps me going, recently I've been quite busy with a whole lot of stuff, so I haven't really been active, but whenever I'm active again, I'll just love to continue seeing what I can do for people in our community.
Favor, what's your typical day-to-day like? I know Web DevRel, working in Web3, a lot of times it can be really difficult to explain what you do, especially being a DevRel. Like for me, I just tell people I'm a software engineer because software engineering is like the whole broader niche of being a DevRel. So for you, what's your typical day-to-day like being a lead DevRel?
So my typical day, I wake up in the morning. I work remotely, so I wake up in the morning. I don't usually, not very early, because my colleagues are in the Western
US
Hemisphere.
time, right?
Yes. So what I do is when I wake up is that I cover for I cover for at least I try to cover for those who aren't, awake in my time zone. So as a DevRel, one of my major roles is customer support, right? So we have a lot of firms that have integrated our APIs, essentially. So usually they would if they run into something they don't really understand, my job is just to help them, guide them to their done. So that's like, customer success, make sure that they've actually got into the finish line and they're actually using our product, right? So I can collect some good feedback in the future. Yeah. So when I wake up, I usually check. We mainly communicate with our customers via Telegram. So Telegram. Why not? It's a Web3 thing now.
Yeah.
So we usually communicate via Telegram. So I would go on Telegram and just see if I've been tagged, or just read my unread messages to see who has an issue or who needs help with whatsoever. So the moment I identify any of them, I just help them out. If it's something that's quite a lot, we just get on a call. I try to solve out the issues. Some customer issues will require me to build like an example that matches their current use case. So when that's the case, then it means that for the next probably 4 or 5 hours, I'm working on an example for just that one customer, right? So whilst that's happening, there's a whole lot of other stuff happening. Other customers are probably tagging me, and then my main tasks actually, that my primary tasks are also right there sitting down looking at me and waiting for me, which is like updating documentation, following up with customer issues, creating tickets if there's if a bug has been identified so right. So all of that is that's basically just how my day is. If I'm not building an example, I'm talking to customers, trying to get them to the finishing line. If I'm not doing any of that, then I'm focusing on updating the documentation and adding in more guides. If I'm not doing that, then I'm probably working on a video. So yeah, so it's kind of random because I get to pick what task I have to work on. You guys, but it's also based on, we mostly work on demand, right? On what's more pressing. If there's a customer who identifies like a high volume mover, those kind of customers, we'll probably allocate more time and resources to that customer to make sure. Yes, so priorities, exactly. There'll be more priority to us, right? So if they need an example, they need extra support, that basically drives what I'm gonna do in the day. So yeah, so that's how my day is like.
Interesting. I think I like the fact that it's always different. For me, that's why I like DevRel. I don't like monotony. I don't like doing the same thing every single day. So I like the fact that today I'm making a video, tomorrow I'm writing a blog article, next tomorrow I'm going to speak at an event. All those kind of things just make me alive, so to say, because I would get bored if I'm doing the same thing every single day. So for you, how do you decompress? How do you have fun? What do you do to just take the stress out of your job?
So I mostly play, like, I'm a gamer, so whenever I'm too stressed,
what games
I
do you
just FC 25 now, I guess. FC 25. I play Ultimate Team. Yeah, so I try, whenever I'm stressed, I play Ultimate Team, which makes me even more stressed because it's an annoying game, but it still distresses me somehow.
That's interesting. I like playing games too. I play games too.
Really?
I just started playing Gran Turismo, and it's been fun.
Really? Do you have the stereo?
Yeah. No, I'll probably get that maybe next year, but it's been really fun and it's stressful because I'm just learning how to play, games with the racing cars, how to go on the tracks, and the turnings are crazy, but yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it so far.
Trust me, get the wheels, you'll love it. Like,
It'll be crazy,
that's another thing I do. which is I just put on the wheels and
Oh, you
also
have
have
the
the shifter.
wheels.
I have the wheels and the shifter.
Interesting,
Yeah, so
interesting.
it's really good.
Yeah, it's gradually becoming my favorite game. So yeah, maybe next year it will be too distracting for me. I think I need to focus a bit.
Oh yeah,
Just be
I get you.
when I'm on my break, I'll just want to quickly play a certain circuit. And I need to go back to work, so I will just
Yeah.
stick with the pads for now and just be playing it like that. But it's been fun. So final question, Favor. You've done so many things in tech space in the community, but of everything you've done so far, what would you say is the most rewarding experience or rewarding moments or rewarding projects, whatever shape or form it is? What's been the most rewarding thing for you so far?
Well, I think for me is the ability to inspire people to actually, have a take at a life in tech. I've got countless messages telling me that people telling me that I got into tech. I was inspired by you. Sounds like I used to be a civil engineer, but I joined your space and like you spoke about tech, and now I just want to get into it. Do you have like a roadmap? And those kind of messages, hearing people say that it's kind of thing that brings me joy, because most people think we content creators with a whole lot of followers, we make a lot of money just tweeting up. We don't like, unless you have like a brand deal somewhere, or like you have like a brand that wants you to talk about the stuff. You probably not even see any cash for like a very long time. You get it. Same thing goes with people who mostly make YouTube video. I have to do it and do it and do it, and before they even make anything out of it. With Twitter, it's none like that. You get it. Probably I've gotten some money from Twitter monetization, but I don't think it's more than $50. Like that's nothing, right? So
Yeah.
when I hear messages like that, it's sort of like it's what sort of fuels me. The fact that I can walk into an office at let me say I have a friend who works at the company A, and I go to company A, and people they just know me. They're like, yo, how are you? Like, we've seen you around, you spoke about this, and like we really loved it and we tried it out, those kind of stuff. For me, I think that's what has been the best part of all of this. Just being able to inspire people, uh you know letting people have like that kind of second thought at life, that maybe I should be doing this thing. You get it? Yes, so that's something that's been really rewarding so far.
Awesome. That's good to hear. I think the feedback, the out of everything for me, I can really connect because I also train people coming into tech. The feedback that you hear, knowing that someone's life has been changed by just something you did or something you put out there, I think it's really rewarding. So yeah. Favor, thanks for coming on the show. It's been amazing hearing your story, hearing your journey, hearing about all you've done throughout and how you're now, a lead DevRel. And I'm really wishing you all the best. I'm sure that everyone listening and watching, they'll enjoy it and they've gained one or two things. So yeah, wishing you all the best on your journey, and I'm excited to see all the things that you still do in the community as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, thank you
All right.
everyone for joining on this episode of my Tech Journey with Esther podcast, and I'll see you in another episode. Bye for now.